The Red Sox are not done yet. Now in connections to another all-star level pitcher in San Diego. I'm here to break down who he is and how this could be massive for the Red Sox going forward. Break down all of that on this episode of Red Sox Digest. But first, remember, if you're part of the 86.5% currently watching this video, not currently subscribed, do us a favor, scroll down, click the subscribe button. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys so very much. But now let's get to it and break down the news and information that we have on how the Boston Red Sox are not done yet this offseason. Now, it felt like we were missing out on a lot of possible pieces, but again, in totality, we have had a pretty good offseason. It seems like the Red Sox and Craig Breslow are not just done yet. And the reason I say that is now we are in connections with all-star level pitcher out in San Diego, Dylan Cease. Now, if you guys don't know, the San Diego Padres are in a bit of a dilemma. Yes, they have a lot of talent on their roster, but again, a few years ago when they went out and acquired all of this talent, they gave out an ample amount of money. And when I say that, I mean they gave out drastic amounts of money all over their roster. And it wasn't just for 2 to 3 year periods. It was for an extended amount of time amongst the entire diamond, if you will. From Bogarts to Manny Machado to Fernando Tatis to Dylan Cease to Michael King. The list goes on and on of notable names on the San Diego Padres that got very, very, very well compensated. And now the San Diego Padres, because of the formality of those contracts, are dealing with the repercussions and really just the amount of money being owed to their current roster. It's getting a bit drastic. Now, Dylan Cease, who was a bit inconsistent and volatile, we will say, last season, is now possibly up for talks in a trade. And again, Sean McAdam, the one and only, goes on to tweet this article, and with this tweet, some things I think Red Sox still open to adding with trade talks. And he goes on to say, even as the Red Sox welcome Alex Bregman into camp this weekend, there's evidence that they're still looking at additional ways to improve the major league roster. An industry source confirmed the Red Sox have been in touch with the San Diego Padres about starting pitcher Dylan Cease, who is being shopped around this spring. The same source cautioned that to date at least, the interest from the Red Sox has been closer to, quote, due diligence, end of quote, level than it is to aggressive pursuit. But for a pitcher, the quality of Cease, the Red Sox at least want to monitor the market. So again, this is a massive piece of information. Are we calling the Padres and saying, hey, we have a trade package for you, let's do it right now? That does not appear to be what is happening. They are at least monitoring what is happening involving Dylan Cease in the trade market and really the overall trade value that he currently sits at, and possibly what the San Diego Padres are looking to get in return for someone who, again, is an all-star level pitcher. I did mention he was a bit volatile last season, and that I 100% stand by that. We'll look at his stats in just a second. But again, he has the upside to be a top pitcher in the MLB any given season with the pitch mix and the abilities that he has off of the mound. Now, Sean McAdam would close out that article and really the conversation considering Dylan Cease with this. It would be logical for the Padres to have interest in Weiler Abreu, but the Red Sox would be giving up 5 years of control with Abreu in exchange for just 1 for Cease. Cease would be a nice addition to an already strong rotation, but there's a lot of risk in trading for a starter heading for free agency. And again, Sean McAdam is 100% correct here. If we look at Dylan Cease's current contract, he's under contract for 1 final season where he's being paid $13.75 million this season by the San Diego Padres, which will be the final year of his contract, where he then next year will be considered an unrestricted free agent. So would someone like the Boston Red Sox want to go out there and trade for someone in Dylan Cease who might have a very, very, very juiced trade value, if you will, in the sense that they're not going to just ask for Weiler Abreu, a young, very, very promising outfielder with great defensive capabilities as well as great offensive abilities as well. It's going to be interesting if the Red Sox go out there and pull the trigger on something like this because of the moving parts involved. Again, Cease being as volatile as he can be, if you will. If we look back at the numbers on Baseball Savant, some things he is an elite pitcher in. There's no other way to say it, but again, there's other things where he severely struggles, and it can be a bit rough for Cease if things fall out of the way. If you look at his base on balls percentage, he is in the bottom percentile, barrel percentage, bottom percentile, hard hit rate, under league average, under league percentile, ground ball percentage down, extension rate down, average exit velocity is down. But then you look at the other things like the expected WOBA, the expected batting average, expecting fastball velocity. All of those things are in the top percentiles of the MLB, as well as chase rate, whiff rate, and K percentage, all being in the top percentiles of the MLB. But again, that fastball value is down. Why? Because he has an inability to control it and throw it for strikes. And when that happens, things seem to really just fall apart for Cease. And you saw it last season. If you watched Dylan Cease pitch, there were outings, especially in the beginning of the last year's MLB season, where he flat out had an inability to throw strikes throw fastballs for strikes. And when that happened, he got behind in counts. He didn't know what to do. He had to challenge had to challenge batters where sometimes he was getting beat up on. He's had high hit games, again, giving up a bunch of earned runs. If you look at the breaking ball run value, 99th percentile. His breaking ball is absolutely disgusting. And again, look at the pitch mix in the bottom right. He is well equipped, to say the least. Fastball, slider, curveball, sweeper, changeup, and then a cutter. He has all of the actual assets and really the capabilities to go out there and be a great pitcher. It just comes down to whether or not he can locate his pitches. And when he can do that, again, he's one of the best pitchers in the MLB. I'm not arguing that. But again, I am arguing that he is extremely volatile in being on the MLB stage. And again, this rotation is very, very good. It's greatly improved from last season. Obviously, Crochet is the only left-handed arm, the only southpaw arm in the starting rotation. So if we were to go out and acquire another right-handed arm, I do believe we would have to give up someone like Cutter Crawford. I don't believe Brayan Bello is going anywhere. If anyone out of this rotation were to be moved, I would assume Cutter Crawford would be the first guy. And now, is this a place where we can possibly package Yoshida and go out and acquire someone like Dylan Cease? And again, it would only be for a year, and I understand that. But rather than giving up someone like Abreu, would we rather give up someone like Cutter Crawford as well as Masataka Yoshida to possibly go out there and acquire someone like Dylan Cease, who is now going into his age 29 season? He's not been in the league for all that long, but when he has been in the league, he's been damn good. I'm not saying he's the ace, because I believe Crochet will be our ace for the time being. But again, Dylan Cease has the capabilities to be the guy. If we look back to his 2022 season, where he had a 2.2 ERA in 22 starts and going 14-8 for a Chicago White Sox team, that is impressive. That is very, very impressive. Garrett Crochet last season and the years prior did not come anywhere close to those numbers. The ERA was a bit higher. The wins and losses were way more skewed than than Dylan Cease's was. But again, he did have a much better team back in 22. But again, the idea is the same, playing for a bad baseball team and still being able to give out that level of production. When Cease is on, he is an elite level pitcher. And if we could bring him to Boston, where it feels like things are going a bit better than they are in San Diego, maybe it's a perfect fit. Maybe he fits in as the number 2 or number 3 guy here in Boston. I think he would definitely have to be the number 2, only behind Crochet. But again, I believe we would have to give up someone like Cutter Crawford, who is, I know, very young and has great upside. But again, to go out and get someone like Cease to be another dominant arm in this rotation, it's a lot of right-handed pitching. We desperately need Patrick Sandoval to come back and be a participant in the starting rotation to add another southpaw. I think that would help greatly this Boston Red Sox team. But again, let me know down below what you guys think about the Red Sox and Craig Breslow doing their, quote, due diligence to make sure that Dylan Cease's trade market isn't just too low for the Red Sox to sneak in and go out and acquire the fireball throwing right-handed arm. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Red Sox Digest.